All right, okay, come, we can start now. Okay, welcome to the second lesson of our lower secondary live lesson for English. Okay, how has your home-based learning been? Well, it has to be good because it has now been extended, right? Unfortunately, fortunately, I don't know whether you're happy. Okay, but this is the situation. We just got to make do with it. Okay, students, now just some class rules again, right? Okay, let me just remind you. Remember, only one person speaks at a time, either myself or someone else whom I've passed the mic to, right? To perhaps share something, read something for us, etc. Okay, remember all your mics on mute mode, please. Okay. Oops, sorry. Let me go back. Okay, on mute mode, please. Okay, because we all need to make sure that there's no feedback in the background, right? Okay, and there are no distractions around us. All webcams to be turned off, okay, and please raise your hand or chat with me in the chat group, which I'm trying hard to open so that you can actually yes, okay, very good. I can see some of your responses, so do just try to type in the chat group and I'll try my best to look at it if let's say I'm asking for a response or something. Okay, now what we're going to cover today, basically we're looking at editing, right? Okay, as well as narrative or personal recount composition that I've actually given you in your PDF that you should have downloaded by now. If not, quickly go over to our webpage. Okay, there's a live lessons tab. You can actually download the material. All right, all of you okay with me so far? If you're okay with me, can you just give me a thumbs up? Good job. Okay, now we'll move on. Okay, now steps to do editing, right? Basically, okay, we have a couple of steps that we take. You know, I always try to give you sort of step-by-step process to do so, as in to have, so that you're able to, you know, better cope with whatever practice that you have to do. Okay, over here, right, we're looking at reading through the entire passage. Remember, we had gone through this last week, right? Think about the possible errors within each sentence, right? Whenever you read a sentence, try to see, okay, you know, is there grammar mistakes, there are tense errors, is there subject-verb agreement, right? Is there complete use, wrong use of maybe a verb, for example? We are not required to change vocab words, it's just basically grammar. Okay, pick out the sentences that have no mistakes and fill up the blanks as best as you can. Okay, now let's go on to discuss the passage, students. Okay. Okay, can I get someone to actually read out to us this slide? Can I get some volunteers to read it out? If not, I'll read it out. Okay, very good. James. Okay, wait. Let me unmute you. Okay, let's go. James, are you reading it? I can't hear you. James. James. Okay, I can't hear you, James. I'm sorry. Anyone else would like to read? No? Okay, I'll start. All right. The thousands of islands in the central and southern Pacific Ocean are called Oceania. They're divided amongst three groups. Polynesia lies in the eastern Pacific. Micronesia and Melanesia lies in the western Pacific. The lives of Oceania's people have remained relatively unchanged for thousands of years. Then the Europeans arrived. European explorers are the first outside people to make contact with the natives of Oceania. They portrayed the life led by Pacific Islanders as idyllic. The islands were beautiful, and the explorers and those who recorded their journeys left out some details from his glowing accounts. Food was abundant, but meat were not. Little was said about rainstorms and hurricanes. Malaria, which was common, other fevers and intestinal parasites were rarely mentioned. No hint was given that the natives will welcome them only because of the useful tools they brought with them, knives and axes. Okay, now, okay, Aisha, later you can read the next passage, okay? Now, we'll just go through the answers now, students, okay? The thousands of islands in the central and southern Pacific Ocean are called Oceania. They're divided amongst three groups. Polynesia, right, lies in the eastern. So what do you think the error is, okay? If you're feeling shy, you can type out your answer in the group chat, okay? So what you can do is, for example, students, okay, let me show you. So maybe the error is, okay, maybe the error, for example, yeah, is okay, and then maybe correct answer should be is, for example. Let me show you what to do if you would like to check. For example, something like that. Okay, so if you want to answer me, you can just type this out and then I'll read it off the chat. Okay, is there anyone who wants to try for the first blank? They're divided amongst 3 groups. Polynesia lies in the eastern. What? Instead of is it? Okay, James, anything else? Anyone else has a different answer? Thank you very much. Okay, for this one, actually, instead of divided amongst, will be divided into 3 groups. Okay, because you're talking about dividing things, right, into 3 groups. Okay, Polynesia lies in the Eastern Pacific. Micronesia and Melanesia lies in the Western Pacific. The lies of, so basically over here we have 2 different areas, right? So if you have 2, this is plural. So the verb next to it, should it be lies or anyone wants to help me? Okay, just type in the chat group. Very good, lie, good job. Okay, now 2 will be a plural, right? So lie in the Western Pacific. The lives of Oceania's people have remained relative unchanged for thousands of years. So over here, we are actually, that's right, relative to, what's the answer? What should the answer actually be? An adverb, right? So it should be, we're talking about an adverb, so it's relatively. Thank you so much, Kanishka, right? Good job. Okay, now, then the Europeans arrived. European explorers are the first outside people to, they arrived. So this is something that happened in the past. So over here, the error is are. What should it be now that I've told you that is are if it happens in the past tense? Anyone wants to help? Very good. Were the first outside people to make contact with the natives of Oceania. They portrayed the life led by Pacific. Looks okay. Right? Pacific Islanders as idyllic. The islands were beautiful. And the explorers and those who recorded their journeys left out some details from his glowing accounts. Now this is actually a contrast. So instead of and, it should be but. Okay, but the explorers and those who recorded their journeys left out some details from, you're talking about their journey, so their glowing accounts. Okay, this one should be quite easy for you to identify. All right, oh, okay, so far, thumbs up if you're okay. Thumbs up if you're okay. Okay, good job. Now, fruit was abundant, but meat were not. Little was said about rainstorms and, very good. So instead of were, it is, but meat was not. Right? Because we're talking about subject-verb agreement again, singular, correct? Okay, now, little was said about rainstorms and hurricanes, malaria, which was common, other fevers and intestinal parasites. Okay, this looks fine, right? Doesn't seem to have any mistake. Were rarely mentioned. Now, this is something that happened in the past, yeah? Okay, no hint was given that the natives welcomed them only because of the useful tools they brought with them, knives and axes. So in this case, we're talking about were rarely mentioned. Okay, we're talking about the past participle form. Okay, so this one would be the yes, right? Or the tick, as well as the blank over here, which is a tick. Okay, now we'll move on to the next exercise. Okay, now we have the answers, which I will upload later. Okay, let's go on to the next exercise now. Aisha, would you like to read it to us, dear? Okay, come, let's go. The natural resources.
The natural resources we think of most often are those that are used directly by people. But each element of nature affected the others. We have learned that if something is needed by any part of nature, then people depend in it too. Air and water are two important natural resources, so people need air and water to live. Land is natural resource if people can use it to grow crops for food. Stone, another natural resource, was also useful for making tools that the first known period of human culture was called the Stone Age. Along with sand and gravel, stone continued to be very useful not only for making tools but also for constructing buildings and roads and for many other purposes. Forest, also a natural resource, supply wood to build houses and to produce paper and many other products. Wildlife is a resource as wild animals provide food, skins, and fur.
Okay, thank you. All right, now this one, I don't know about you, but I thought that some of the answers were quite obvious, but okay, we'll go through it, okay? Now, the natural resources we think of most often are those that are used directly by people, but each element of nature the others. So this one is something that is ongoing, right? Okay, let me give you a clue. It's not affected. The answer should be, but each element of nature the others. So if it's ongoing, it should be very good. Thank you, Aisha. Affects the others. We have learned that if something is needed by any part of nature, then people demand in it too. Can you not demand, depend in it too. Is it depend? On it too. Thank you very much. The rest of you, please contribute as well. Okay, you can type in the group chat. Don't feel shy. Okay, now air and water are two important natural resources. So people need air and water too. Anyone for this? Air and water are two important natural resources. Okay, you're talking about giving a reason now, right? People need air and water to live. So it is not so, because so would mean a consequence, right? Not so, but rather as, you can say because. As people need air and water, or you can say because people need air and water to live. Land is a natural resource if people can use it to grow crops for food. Okay, so this one looks to be okay. Right? Stone, another natural resources, was so useful for making tools that the first, now this is very obvious, this is really very obvious. Stone, another natural, very good resource. I feel so lonely, no? Nobody wants to talk to me. Was so useful for making tools that the first known period of human culture was called the Stone Age. The first what? When you're talking about first known. Okay, because it's something that you're talking about, so it's an adjective. That's right. Thank you very much. Okay, thank you. Now, first known period of human culture was called the Stone Age. Along with sand and gravel, stone continued to be very useful, not only for making tools, but this is a singular. So stone, no. You can say, but you see, this one we're talking about stone, right? Singular over here, singular. So this one should actually change to continuous, because subject verb agreement. Continues to be very useful not only for making tools, but also for constructing buildings and roads and for many other purposes. Okay, forest in this case, also a natural resource. Now this is for plural. Okay, but yet this is singular. Okay, so the verb for this should actually be remain, but this in this case we have to add an s. Forest, also a natural resource, supply wood to build houses and to produce paper and many other products. Remember last week we went through after to, what should it be? After to, it should always be the infinitive, right? To produce paper and many other products. Wildlife is a resource as wild animals provide food, skins, and fur. Okay, so this one is actually correct. Okay, your number 10 is correct. As well as your, just now we had one, right? I think it's number 4, which is correct. Okay, students, any questions so far that you want me to go through? Or can you, if you're okay, can you put a thumbs up? Okay, very good. Now, we'll have a quick 3-minute break, okay, before we come back and we discuss the composition. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to brainstorm for some ideas, okay, and then after that, I'll go through with you a sample essay. Okay, now go grab a drink and then come back and we will actually discuss it. Okay, see you in 3 minutes. It's 6:15 now, 6:18. It's really quick actually today. Okay, now. Okay, students, let's come back. All of you here, if you're here, can you just put a thumbs up so I can move on? Okay, no worries. Let me just have a short chit chat. Thank you. Okay, now how many of you actually use 88 besides watching us for our live lessons? How many of you actually use our platform? Put your hands up so I know that you actually use our platform. Okay. Okay, so how many, not many of you actually use 88, is it? Okay, because sometimes when during my lesson, I will reference a couple of things in my videos, right? So if you do actually use 88, that'll be quite useful for you. Then you at least know what I'm actually talking about. Okay, now we'll go on. So this is the essay question that I gave you, right? Now write about a fight that you had with a family member, so something negative, right? Okay, so something that you had displayed, probably you couldn't control yourself, and that's why it sort of evolved into a fight. Okay, now some ideas, right? Okay, but before that, let me go through the question with you. You can do a question analysis. Okay, now take note of the keywords in the question. We have fight. Okay, we have family member. These two things are very important because it tells you you need to have fight over there and you need to have it with a family member, right? If not, you would actually be out of point. Okay, so you need to have a conflict revolving around a conflict, right, between the main character and your or his, in this case, family member. You can write about a fight with a sibling, whether it affected your relationship, or you can also write or you can start off with the introduction of this as something very normal. Being siblings, you can fight almost every day. You can fight the whole day as well, right? This is something I never had the luxury of enjoying because I'm the only child. But I understand that you can fight the whole day over nothing, and somehow or other the next second you'll be okay. I don't know how that works. But yeah, okay, so you can actually have an introduction on the normality of these fights, okay? And remember, students, this is a personal recount essay, right? So you actually need to have it in the first person perspective. So in this case, what does first person mean? I, because it's actually a personal recount essay. If it's a narrative essay, you can just have a third party. Like for example, James, Tim, Tom, for example. Okay, you don't need to have I. If it's a personal recount essay that they tell you, that they say in over here, right? Write about a fight that you had with a family member. So you need to use the word I in this essay. Okay, now let's just go through a sample planning that I thought of before we do our brainstorming session later. Okay, now when we have a introduction, right, you have very generic introduction, right? You're talking about the present, okay? You introduce the topic of the question. Okay, and of course, over here, we introduce the topic of fighting within a family through a brief description of sibling rivalry. Of course, we know that, siblings will tend to rival each other, right? Okay, and in that case, it's very easy to actually build up the context of a fight. Okay, now when we're talking about the body, so how we actually build it up, right? Okay, of course you can have, maybe you're in a hotel room, it was during a holiday, for example, okay, and then you start giving details of the fight, right? You written from your perspective, okay, about a fight that occurred many years ago with, in this case, my brother, right? So cause, process, and outcome are all written, okay, with you feeling highly resentful. But at the end of the day, like I mentioned to you, right, you can fight the whole day, but you find that within 10 seconds, everything will be resolved, strangely enough. Okay, that's why you have no hard feelings at the end. Okay, now when we talk about something to conclude our story, okay, obviously you have to come back to now, right? If you're doing a flashback, it has to be in present moment, present day time, so you're able to reflect on something that happened in the past, right? Basically, it just present an important moral of family ties, right? Because this is the important thing that you need to realize at the end of the story, right? You had a fight, but at the end of the day, family is more important. So you're able to put aside your disagreement, your fight, your differences, okay, to resolve them, and of course, be family again at the end of the day. Right now, you explain, right, that fights were common, but does not serve to drive you and your brother apart. Okay, now personifying a quote, right? Okay, that you have actually heard many times before. It could be something as simple as blood is thicker than water, something along those lines. Okay, now I would like to actually plan out the story with you guys. Okay, can you actually offer me in the group chat? I know some of you are very shy, right? Just offer me some pointers that you would like to have for your introduction, that you would like to include for your introduction. Okay, so can we just type out our ideas and then I'll put it down? Okay, it's our brainstorming session, so I would need the ideas to come to me. Okay, I can't be giving you my ideas, which I've already given to you, by the way. Yes, if you've got a question, carry on. I'm watching the chat. So how would you want your 5 W's, 1 H? Remember, we need to have your 5 W's, your who, your what, your when, your where, your why. And of course, you have your how. Right? So what can you just give me the setting? Where will this be? Anyone? Come on. Okay, it can be in the home, right? So it's where? Home. Okay, what happened? Okay, there's a fight, right? So have any of you experienced a fight? What triggered the fight? Okay, you want a carnival, all right? You can also have a carnival. What happened? You need to remember, you need to have a who and your what is very important, okay? Because then you know, over dumplings. Okay, so over dumplings, why? Y'all want the last dumpling, is it? What else? TV channels, okay, very good. Okay. So it could be between, I'm just going to put brother or sister lah, okay? And I. Okay, very good. Okay, that's very true. Anything else? Okay, so this could be also the why, yeah? Why you decide to have the fight. Okay, now, next thing. Rising action, what triggered it? Okay, what triggered it? I would say what triggered the fight. Someone said, right, he played more games, okay? And you thought that it was unfair, is it? More games. Okay, basically you thought that it was unfair, right? Anything else? Someone said over dumpling. Why? He ate more dumplings, is it? Or what? He didn't have to help out with the cleanup, maybe? Okay, ate more dumplings, okay. The things y'all can fight about, ah. Okay, so also again to do with unfairness, right? Anything else? Something a little bit more mature, maybe? Like maybe he took your things without permission. Okay, took things without permission, maybe. Okay, very rude, right? Okay, did not, very selfish also, did not spare a thought for your feelings, maybe. Okay, now, climax. So what happened? How was the fight fought? How intelligent? How was the fight fought? Okay, so what happened? What was the action? Come, give me the action. Okay, give me the action, students. Very physical, very good. Anything else? As in how? So it was a punch, okay? Anything else? Verbal, also very good. So it could be a punch, right? Any scratches? Girls love to give scratches. I don't know why. But we only got nails, I think. The boys no nails because they bite everything off because they're scared of the girls, is it? Okay, scratches, anything else? Punch, scratch, verbal, okay, anything? So how was it escalated, students? You might want to think about what made it a fight, right? Because you actually need to describe the fight. So you need some phrases to actually help you describe. Okay, so keep that in mind, okay, when we're actually planning, because you need to include that. Falling action, how is it resolved? Okay, very good. You can say someone started it first, right? Oops, sorry, over here. Climax, you can say that your brother started it first, for example. Okay, you can also say throwing things, excellent ideas that you have, okay? Throwing things at each other, okay? Good job, okay? Remember? And then, okay, so very good, okay? Now, how you actually end up will be, maybe you are causing a ruckus, right? Causing a ruckus, very noisy, right? Okay, and then your what? Father heard. Because what? Maybe you can say it was during COVID times, everybody was at home, right? So because of that, father came in and started scolding you guys. Okay, basically you can always use the word that many primary school students love, reprimanding. Okay, because maybe you can also say that you spoiled expensive things, for example. Okay, maybe you can say in the process of your fight, you spoiled your mother's antique vase, something very common of you love to spoil vases. I don't even have a vase in my house, and so many people can tell me stories that you broke the vase. Okay, right? Okay, now next, okay, conclusion. What was the conclusion? Come on, we're supposed to resolve this, right? How are we going to resolve it? Father school, and then what? Reminded you that what's the phrase that we're going to use? Reminded us that what's the phrase? Blood is what? Thicker than water, right? Okay, so with this, it has to end off as the moral of the story. Okay, and of course, you apologize to each other. Okay, you don't have to promise, okay lah, maybe you may want to promise that, you never do it again. Well, we all know that that is not true, so that promise will never be lived up. Promise never to do it again, that will never be lived up. But well, we can try. Of course, you will also have to forgive each other. Okay, very good. Now, silent treatment, okay, but okay, remember at the end of the day, we try to end off on a happy note. Okay, because when it's a happy note, that at least the story, we know that the story is actually ended. Okay, now let me go through with you a sample story. Okay, it's not very long actually. I think we will actually end our lesson pretty early today. Students, please take note that our lessons should be around 45 minutes to an hour. I try not to keep you for so long because I know you're already very tired from school. Okay, so I think 45 minutes will be a good gauge. Okay, I try not to go beyond an hour. So please, after our lesson, if you've got any questions, you will get my number. Okay, and all you need to do is just drop me a text if you need me to explain certain things or you want me to go through something in class, just drop me a text. Okay, now we'll go through the sample essay. Okay, we're going to start with a very general statement, right? Sibling rivalry is a common occurrence. So you're actually reflecting that, these things happen so often, right? It's not new. Okay, sibling rivalry is a common occurrence. The amount of time spent together is often directly proportional to the number of arguments to resolve. So what you're saying is, you spend so much of time together, you have so many fights. You spend lesser time together, you have fewer fights. Correct? Okay, so this is what we're saying. Okay, the amount of time spent together is often directly proportional to the number of fights that result. For my brother and me, there was no exception. In our younger days, we constantly fought over every minute detail, every small thing. When one person had something, the other wanted it too. And most of the time, fighting and snatching of the items ensued. It followed, right? Instead of an amicable discussion and sharing. Sometimes innocent play could end in fully fledged fights when you're like super passionate about what you're fighting for, right? And about, okay, when one person crossed the line and did more harm than intended. So usually when you overstep your boundary, right, you hurt somebody in the process, you realize that this is when you end up in fully fledged fights, like super powerful punch, hit, scratch, everything all in one bao ka liao, that's what Chinese say, right? Okay, now one argument involving my brother and me stand out amidst all the other fights, and it happened when I was 10 and he was 8. So you're actually recalling an incident that happened in the past. Looking back, it was an extremely petty argument. You can actually sense that there's regret over there. Because when you say something like petty, we all know that it did not mean to actually happen. We were on a holiday and thus had to share a bed with my aunt. She had gone to the bathroom, leaving us alone. Without warning, my brother shot a kick at me under the duvet, right? You were on the bed, right? Okay, the duvet is like a cover, like your bed sheet, right? Sorry, not your bed sheet, but your blanket, okay? What did you do that for? I exclaimed. Infuriated as pain shot through my leg, right? I was obviously very upset. Oh, sorry, it was an accident, he replied, obviously very upset. Stood up. Oh, okay. Just to highlight, sorry, I see some questions, right? Okay. Why isn't it stood out over here? Because you see, you're talking about presently, it still stands out to you. Right? So one argument involving my brother and me stands out because amongst all the things that happened in the past, until today, it still stands out. Okay? Alamuhil, I think that's how we pronounce your name, right? Okay, thank you for the question. Okay? Any questions, please just address it in the chat so I can answer you. Okay, we were on a holiday and thus had to share a bedroom. Let me just go back a bit, okay, to retract my thoughts. She had gone to the bathroom, leaving us alone without warning. So your brother actually shot a kick at you, right, under the duvet. Okay, so now this was the start of the fight. Okay, what do you do that for? I exclaimed, infuriated as pain shot through my leg. Oh, sorry, it was an accident. Obviously, he wasn't sorry, isn't it? Now, to my childish mind, because back then, remember, you were 10, he was 8, she already said so. His nonchalance, right, his basically ignorant, was a sure sign that the accident was feigned. It was actually what? He did it with intention. He did it on purpose, right? And thus, it was the most offending thing that he could have done to me back then, right? Okay, you're thinking, you know what? If brother, you're younger than me, how dare you kick me, man? Someone under the duvet. You know, like what are the chances? People sleep on the bed, you fight on the bed. Okay, now naturally an argument followed. It was not long before the argument transformed into a serious fight. So basically, you can actually sense that this is the start of something negative. We shouted, screamed, punched, scratched, and clawed at every piece of exposed skin on the other party that we could lay our tiny hands on. You're describing the fight, you know. You can imagine the vividness of it, right? You can just see every single action coming to play, right? The aftermath of the pain did nothing but spur us to cause even more physical pain to the other, right? Aftermath of it, when you realize that, you know, you're fighting, you continue fighting someone, right? This fight left an immensely deep impression. Oopsie, sorry about that. Oh dear, I wanted to change pen color. Okay, let me go and change pen color. Hang on. Okay, because it's yellow text, right? This fight left an immensely deep impression on me because of what my brother did to me next. Now, this is the clue that something is going to happen to the most important part. Most important part. Okay, his set of little milk teeth sank itself into my left arm. The pain was amplified when he did not let go, but continued biting down hard. I tried wrenching my arm away. I pushed, shoved, punched, and kicked, but to no avail. His hold was just too firm. So you actually knew that what? She was upset at the fight, right? Okay, because her brother actually bit her, right? She obviously has not gotten over this incident because of that, right? It hurt, and that was why she was upset. Right now, you can tell how pain it was because of the phrases she used, right? Okay, the pain was amplified when it did not go. It didn't just increase, no, it amplified. When you say something amplified means what? Became super, super, super painful, right? But continued biting hard, biting down hard. Okay, the use of the word hard is to emphasize it even more, right? I tried wrenching my arm away. I pushed, shoved, punched, and kicked, but to no avail. His hold was just too firm. It was not long before my parents came to look into the racket that we were making. We were causing a lot of noise, right? After they broke us apart, my mother started scolding us. So obviously, you know that what? This was how it was being resolved. Okay, this is such an ugly bracket. Let me draw something nicer. Okay, this is how it's being resolved, right? I, as the big sister, should have been more magnanimous and forgive my brother even if he had kicked me on purpose. In my immature mind, however, all that I felt back then was injustice. So it's something what very upsetting, right? Something that we possibly that cannot actually get over. Why was my mother always siding with my brother? It was unfair. So this was the unjust that she actually had felt. Okay? Now, the strangest thing about these arguments and fights, however, was the aftermath, what happened after that. Not more than 10 minutes later, my brother and I were perfectly fine, joking and showing each other the injuries that were visible and the extent of the injury. We would have proudly worn our self-proclaimed battle scars, like how you survive a battle. These are the scars that you actually get right after the fight, right? Strutting around for the world to see, if not for the fear of getting into trouble with my parents. So obviously you didn't expect, right, yourselves to actually be joking, right, around with your brother after the fight. You thought that you're going to hate him, but actually guess what? After 10 minutes, all was normal. I think this is pretty common. Right, the enmity between us vanished as quickly as it had started. So something what? That you know that you're going to be okay after this fight, right? How quickly they actually recovered. As I look back, I know that we had countless more disagreements over the next few years, but we would always be close as ever because blood is thicker than water, as I have learned firsthand. Now, what does she mean by that? She experienced it through the fight. She knew that, but it's going to be thicker than water. So this is the main moral of the story of the fight. Okay, students, any questions so far? No? Okay, if not, I'll go on with the vocabulary that we had. Okay, sibling rivalry, which would actually mean competition amongst brothers and sisters. Okay, something that we are very familiar with, something that all of us have actually gone through. Directly proportional, the same as, remember she said, right? The amount of time you spend together mean the number of fights that you have. Same. Okay, now minute, very little. Amicable, to be very friendly, right? Fully fledged fights, fighting that does not hold back from injuring the other party. Will punch or whack or scratch or claw, all the different verbs that she's used, right? Cross the line means do something that is unacceptable. Petty, very insignificant. Infuriated, angered. Nonchalance, lack of concern. Feigned, very fake. Aftermath, the after effects of something. Amplified, increased, right? To no avail, efforts that were pointless. Racket, the commotion that was being created. Magnanimous, now this is magnanimous. Many of you may struggle with the pronunciation. Very generous, very great-hearted. Enmity, the hostility, right? How hostile you are being. Vanish, disappear. Blood is thicker than water. Family relationship are stronger than other relationships. Okay, students, so basically this is actually how you do the composition. You realize that I've got some notes over here. I'll be uploading this later, or not today, but by Friday, so that we can actually learn from some of the phrases that over here. Okay, this is a very short lesson today. We've actually finished our writing. Okay, I'm not sure how your week with home-based learning actually had gone. Okay, I hope it's been okay, but I know many of my students are saying that there's actually a lot of work. Okay, so if you do need certain help, you need help for certain sections, right? Please just drop me a text. This is my number and email address. So drop me a text so I can help you discuss it. Okay, now to just wrap off what we had discussed on family, right? Families are like branches on a tree. We grow in different directions, yet our roots remain as one. Okay, let me try to show. Okay, you realize that you have different branches, right? You grow differently. All of you are different, but yet your what? Roots are actually the same. You come from the same family. You come from the same parents, right? That's why you're always tied as one. Okay, remember this quote, students. You can always use this for your composition. Okay, now have a good week ahead, students. I'm going to end off here so you can go have an early dinner, rest for a bit, okay, before you get ready for your home-based learning again tomorrow. Okay, as I mentioned, it's been extended until 1st June. Okay, so we are all in this together. Let's all remember that. Okay, now until the next week, I see you, which is ending till next time, which is next week. Take care, stay safe. All right, stay at home, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.